Welcome to How's Your ePresence? I am Mark Galvin, and I am the founder of the firm ePresence. We're a social media firm, and we produce this show, How's Your ePresence? Thank you for joining us. We're so glad that you're here. We always love sharing content with our audience, and if you're joining us here live, thank you. You can go ahead and send comments right in the box, and we'll make sure we answer those questions. If you're joining us by video after we've dropped this, thank you for being here. And if you're joining us by podcast, we love to have your ears as well. If you would love to hear about anything at all, always feel comfortable. You can send us a message, and we'll be happy to respond to that. Wherever you are, make sure you subscribe to our show. But more particularly, if you would, on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. And the reason we want you to subscribe is when you do, you'll get a notification when we go live. So there it is right there. If you'll hit that button down there at the bottom of your screen, you can subscribe to our show. So glad you're here. We continue to run our webinar, and I've talked about our webinar and all of our shows. So for those of you that have heard these shows before, I'll make it quick. For $37.50, you can get a 1-hour webinar on LinkedIn. You'll walk away. You'll see a 400% increase in views on your profile. Now, that's pretty good. How do you find it? As easy as this. Simply go to e-pr.me/discount. So e-pr.me discount. There it is on the screen. You can join us there. Get a great discount. Come in. It's an hour. We have no more than 10 people in the session. So if you join us, I can guarantee you're going to end up with a great LinkedIn profile. So as you guys know, we always like to talk about great news that's going on. Here's the news for today. We'd love for you to stay tuned in for it. So did you know that the United Kingdom's Prime Minister is focused on LinkedIn? Stay with us. I'll tell you what that means. Also, Facebook and Instagram look like they're trying to keep pace with TikTok, which may keep them a little bit more at bay. So stay tuned in for that. We'll talk a little bit about those items on social media. But before we get there, let me bring in a returning guest. We are extremely excited to have Aubrey Hord back with us for another episode of How's Your ePresence? Aubrey, where are you?
Good morning. Aloha. I'm over on Maui. How are you guys? It looks
yes.
Like you're in a beautiful background, by the way. I love your background.
Well, thank you very much. And I got to laugh that you're in beautiful Maui. And I do want everyone out there to know that as soon as it's possible, please go to Maui. Maui is a lot of hospitality tourism dollars go in and out of Maui. They're not seeing a lot of them now. So, but there's a little problem. There's a 14-day quarantine if I fly there. So I know it's probably going to be a little while before folks can get on a plane and come join you. But still, please go to Hawaii and go see Aubrey. She'd love for you to come visit her on Maui. So which side of the island are you on?
Well, my studio is located upcountry. That's where I am now. And then, so upcountry is kind of, if Maui is seen as two lumps or this.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's the valley in the middle, which is why it's called the Valley Isle. And then I'm halfway up on one of those hillsides. So that's upcountry. Okay. That's what's considered upcountry.
Upcountry.
Upcountry. And then
beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. So if I could show you the view, it's over there out the window.
So are you from Hawaii?
Nope.
Are you a native?
Nope.
Where'd you move from?
Here in 1991, and I'm originally from New York. I was actually born on Park Avenue, not on the street itself, but that's where
Wait a minute, in an apartment or in a hospital were you born?
I was born in a hospital, and then I lived in an apartment. My parents were there in the late 60s, and so it was like Mad Men. That's what my parents remind me of, is Mad Men.
Wow. So there was a bar in the office. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, but I'm guessing so. Because I'm very familiar with those rolling trays with the alcohol. Those crystal decanters.
I am amazed. And there's actually a friend of mine, these Zoom calls, as we know, they're ubiquitous these days. Everybody's on them. And we were doing a Zoom call, and I look in the back and I said, "You've got a bar in your office." I couldn't believe it. I said, I didn't say this out loud, but I did think maybe I should transfer there.
I've got
It'd be nice to.
That's about it.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Well, Aubrey, thank you for being with us. You are a photographer. For those of you that missed the first episode, I do encourage you to go back and take a look at that or listen to it. But you are a professional photographer. What do you specialize in? Is there a specialty for you?
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because there's a lot of different specialties you can do in photography, and I'm in commercial and portrait. So that's my specialty, is commercial and portrait photography.
Commercial and portrait. So that means to me that you would focus on taking headshots, or me and someone else as a. So I guess when you say portrait, it means there's humans in it, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, great. So the reason that you are with us is because you and I connected after your husband and I met on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, he joined us for a webinar, and in the session, it was so funny. He said, my wife is a photographer. I said, I've got to talk to her. I love connecting with photographers because what you do is so important to social media. And you understand that, and you are able to articulate it in a way that I think is extremely interesting. So we're having you back again because we got more to talk about. So I can't remember. What did we talk about the first time around? We talked about colors, right? It was a big focus.
What to wear and what colors to wear.
Yeah, color is so important. So notice the color of my shirt.
Thank you very much.
So Aubrey, for those of you who don't know, there we go. Look at that. I do like it. Brings the blue out in your eyes. So Aubrey's in a lighter colored blue shirt. She told me that I need to make sure that I'm in a darker colored shirt. And so now I'm trying to do that for every time that we're on the podcast, because it is a great tip. It's good stuff to know. Yep. So fantastic. Glad you're here. Let's talk about some social media news before we get into photographs and all the ways that you can look better online. Are you okay with that?
I'm absolutely good. I want to hear the news.
All right. So the news is, the first thing I want to talk about is the United Kingdom's Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has gone on to this. I think this is great. He went on to LinkedIn and said to all the business people on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn. And his reason for doing that is he wanted to create, and here's a quote from him. He said, quote, businesses of all sizes are vital to this country, i.e. the UK, and I want to connect more directly with you as we build back better, stronger than ever before. And of course, they're going through the same type of economic downturn that we are here in the US. I think that that's a really interesting tactic. And we talk about this constantly on this show, as well as when we talk to clients, is figure out where your audience is and go speak to him. Well, he's doing that, and he's using what I don't know. I haven't seen any other politician really dive into. But if you're going to build a relationship with your business audience, why not do it on LinkedIn, especially as a politician? What do you think about that, Aubrey?
I think it's brilliant. And you're going to hit different audiences on those different platforms. So, if you're a real estate agent, or if you're an actress, or if you're younger or older, once you know that target audience, and that we call it an avatar, once you know that avatar, then you can target it through those different platforms. So it's perfect.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on. And it's brilliant. I think that the guy is, I think he's doing something that we're going to see more politicians follow. And if you can build a dialogue with a very limited audience, 700 million people are on LinkedIn. What does that mean? Within 1 year of TikTok being released in the US, they had 700 million users in the US. All right. To kind of give you a perspective, but this is worldwide. And if you look at the number of people, and I should probably know this off the top of my head, but the UK has a lot of people that are on LinkedIn. But as a mix of all social media, it's smaller, which means it's a very targeted audience. So if he wants to connect to the business community, he can have a separate dialogue with that business community on LinkedIn. I think that that's brilliant. I hope more people do it. I may actually have a conversation with a local rep that's representing my district here in Atlanta. If they were jumping on LinkedIn and I could do that, I might actually be able to speak to it. So I think that's cool. So look for that. Definitely. I can't wait to, and I saw this just before today's show. I'm going to go out there and I'm definitely going to follow him on LinkedIn, and I may actually send a connection request. Let's see if he accepts it. So that's the first thing. Here's the next thing. We're going to talk about Facebook and Instagram. So what is TikTok all about? And there's something new that's not necessarily in the show notes. TikTok is trying to sell their U.S. division to a U.S. company. The president has said that he's going to shut down TikTok unless they're sold to the U.S. They've run into a little bit of a challenge because now the Chinese government's got involved, and they have said that, yes, TikTok can be sold to a U.S. company, but you can't sell the algorithm. Well, I'm not sure why you would buy TikTok if you can't get the algorithm. So that's a whole separate issue, and I think it's worth mentioning because some of you may say, well, this other news that I'm going to share is impacted by that, and it definitely is. Facebook and Instagram are looking to keep TikTok at bay. How? So one of the hottest topics this year is the rise of TikTok, as we all know. And what they're doing is the Chinese video sharing app has been grabbing headlines because they are sharing a program, and their system is by these small, short videos. And people are finding them extremely engaging. And I have to admit, when I jump on TikTok myself, I can't stop. Aubrey, my kids are laughing at me. They know I'm doing this because I do it in the car. I have a 17-year-old daughter. As she's driving along, I'll get in the car and I'll bring TikTok up, and she'll look over me with shock. You're watching TikTok. It really is entertaining. But what's happening is that Instagram is rolling out this thing called Reels. And Reels is a copy of TikTok. I'm not sure how these companies do this, right? They're copying the basic feel of another software, and they're getting away with it. But it is good in creating positive engagement and can create and really mimic what TikTok's doing. Now, here's the challenge, and this is the beauty of TikTok. Aubrey, you can go drop a video today on TikTok, and you could have 0 people that are following you, and it can still reach 500,000 people on TikTok. It's not about your connections. It's about whether you're putting out great content. And here's what happens is somehow that algorithm is seeing the video you put up that they're seeing a lot of people are finding it interesting. A lot of people are watching it. They'll serve that up to more people. Well, that's not necessarily happening on Instagram Reels, and they will need to do that to grow that audience on TikTok. However, or grow their audience on Instagram to take on TikTok. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that you're finding this is that you're seeing the Instagram and Facebook try to figure out a way to gather that TikTok audience. So Aubrey, have you ever done a TikTok video?
No, sadly.
Can you dance?
I'm looking at your expression. You're like, what? You haven't done it? No, I haven't. I haven't done one. I can dance. Yes, my dad taught me very well. And growing up in the South, as you might remember, I had to take cotillion.
You did? Oh, that's awesome. So I think that you and John should do a TikTok video.
Oh, no. Sadly, John cannot dance. No.
He can't dance? Well, it's okay. He just has to do some simple moves. The moves in TikTok, they're not hard. They're not dancing. And I've seen a lot of people who can't dance who have done well on TikTok. So I'll be looking for this. I'm just going to give you guys a challenge.
All right.
In fact, I had somebody give me a challenge this morning, which I'm not bringing up here. But if I don't meet the challenge, I agreed to shave off my eyebrows. So if you are game, I challenge you to do a TikTok video. And if you don't, you and John have to shave off your eyebrows.
I'll do one.
I'm kidding, for the record. I'm kidding. But if you do end up shaving off your eyebrows, you and John have to come on.
There's no way I'm shaving my eyebrows.
I hear it takes a long time for them to grow back.
Yes, it does. Okay, sorry. And we
that's the news. Good stuff. So let's see what happens with Instagram if they're able to catch up with TikTok and give them a run for their money. Now, Aubrey, let's talk about photographs, and let's talk about headshots, because that's really your sweet spot. One of the things that has come up is, and this is really with my audience and the people that I speak to frequently, is that there's a question on whether I should smile on my photograph, my headshot, or not? What do you think? Should you smile or shouldn't you smile on your headshot?
So there's a couple of schools of thought on this. There is a way to actually become a little bit more powerful, engaging, interesting with no smile. You know, that's one thing that I think is really kind of good. And I actually did not smile in my headshot. And so then when people do smile, you can sometimes look a little bit too smiley, also depending on your role. You know, if you've got a really serious role, if you are a lawyer, or if you're a doctor, or if you're in some role that is a serious role in and of itself, just the whole idea of sitting there and going,
it's
maniacal, right?
People may not take you seriously in those industries.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good point.
Yeah. So sometimes, and I've done a test with clients where I've had them do a smile, no smile, just to see. And my preference is teeth, no teeth is really what it is. It's teeth
or no teeth. Yes.
Teeth or no teeth. Just because the whole idea of, you know, smiling, you can still smile through your eyes. And I've always been a little bit mischievous. So I tend not to smile. There's a couple of reasons we'll go into why I don't always smile with my teeth, but I also smile a lot through my eyes. And so I think that's one way to actually still convey that you're friendly, but not necessarily have full teeth going. Because you don't want to be scary either. You don't want to be all serious like people are in their passport photos, you know, where there's no smile.
Well, and I think there's a couple things that, for me, that's really important here is that some people should smile because have a big bright smile because that's their personality. That's their comfortable space.
I knew you'd go there. I knew you'd go there.
It is, right? Don't you think? You think that's crazy? And I think if I really want to smile and I'm in one of those industries where I shouldn't be smiling, I may look a little awkward in that picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so that it is important, and you do this. You tease out when you meet with a client whether they should have a big smile or basic smile, and you expose all that. You have some examples of photos and smiles. Am I right?
Yes, we can bring them up.
Jump into that. All right, well, let's do that.
These are headshots of me by Peter Hurley, who is the top headshot photographer in the world and an amazing mentor. And
Aubrey, I do just not to steal your thunder about that, but I think he's going to be a guest on my podcast. So we got in contact, and I think he's going to join us. So stay tuned, folks. Peter Hurley should be a guest on this show in the next, couple months.
Good. So Peter is amazing. And apparently I was really difficult.
I can't imagine that. Really?
Yeah, well, because I'm so used to being on the other side of the camera, right? So it's really difficult. So now I completely understand what my clients go through, you know, as they experience this entire thing of having to have your headshot done, whether you do hair and makeup or not, you still have to be in front of the camera, and it's just nerve-wracking. So I think, you know, giving Peter full credit for being an incredible photographer and being able to tease out those elements that really make you unique. One of the reasons why I like this photo is because I have no teeth showing. So
for those of you listening on the podcast, you've definitely got to go check this out on YouTube. But I'll be the color commentator. So we have Aubrey's photograph. It's a black background. Aubrey has very blonde. You have very light colored hair. Yep. And she's got a smile, but we don't see any teeth here, right? But your eyes, and I don't know that you're smiling with your eyes here. This is somewhat of a serious shot for you.
A little bit more, yeah, it is compared to the way I normally am. Okay, so if we go to the next one, let's see here. Do I do it on mine?
Yeah, you got to do it. You're controlling that one.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so looking at the next one here, this is how we normally feel when we're in front of the camera.
All right, so who's we? All of us?
All of us. I'm just gonna say all of us. Like in general, this is the way I think most of my clients feel, especially when they walk into the studio. They're like, oh, I don't want to do my headshot. And so just trying to bring out something
So I
that
got to describe this. I got to describe the picture. So now we're looking at Aubrey. She is making a face at the
Yep.
camera, a
Yep.
little bit of cross-eyed and funny lips. So this has got to be a good tactic to try to get people to loosen up, I'm guessing.
Yep. It absolutely is. And this is typically the face that I make whenever someone tries to photograph me. It's my knee-jerk reaction. So I have a lot of students that have taken classes with me, and this is the photo that they post of me. It's usually with this expression.
I love
So
that.
going back to teeth or no teeth, these were some of the ones that, and the reason why I thought I'd bring these up is because I want to be vulnerable. I want to share with you guys, how nerve-wracking it is to be on the other side of the camera, and to also let you know that, I'm here on the other side. When I'm in the studio, I understand what it's like to be over there, and I'm going to do my best to help to bring out the best in you. So I think this was the expression that I made shortly after this. So I'm kind of cracking up at myself. I actually have a pretty genuine smile. Teeth are showing. So this is one teeth versus.
Yeah, so we got a picture now with Aubrey smiling, a full smile, and this looks you look comfortable there. You do look like yourself. Since I know you now and we've had so many conversations, I like this picture. It's very friendly. I like the person in this picture. They're friendly.
Yeah. So we're going to test this out on Photo Feeler. So then switching backgrounds to a white background, same kind of thing, seeing how that smile looks on a white background. So I was going to test a dark background with a smile because I do have hair. So something to consider is if you have very light hair and you all of a sudden have a white background, it could kind of wash you out a little bit.
Right.
So sort of think about that.
So I think you look better in front of the dark background because of the color of your hair.
Yeah. So I also just brought in these where it's a smile and a no smile with a light background. So I tend to, and then there's a little bit more of a brighter smile. So, you're seeing just a few things. And then when I posted this on Photo Feeler, which is why I brought this up, it was really interesting to have my original headshot, which I didn't have in the set that I just showed you, but it is one with no teeth. And when we talked about this the other day, teeth or no teeth or smile or no smile, I wanted to see what would happen if I posted my original headshot from Peter Hurley on Photo Feeler, and then I posted one on a white background with teeth. And it's
so let me explain quickly what Photo Feeler is. So if you go to a website, photofeeler.com, that's PHOTOFEELER.com, you can drop in a headshot for business, social, and dating sites. So there's 3 different versions. Make sure if you're in business that you select the business segment. Drop in a photograph, and under the business segment, you get random people. These are people you don't know that simply land on your photograph, and they rate your photograph in 3 categories: competence, likability, and influence. And so what we're seeing now is we got 2 pictures of Aubrey on the screen. One of them is her not smiling. One of her is smiling. And the numbers I think this is very interesting. What do you think what do you see here, Aubrey? And what's your impression?
Well, it's not quite a scientific vote because I haven't gotten to the first photo with the dark background with no teeth showing has 404 votes. And the competent votes are extremely high with, again,
unbelievable.
No
Look
teeth.
at that, 9.9. Really, you're almost perfectly competent there.
Apparently. Yeah. And then, likability though is at a 9.1. So
you say though, but to get a likability score in the 9s is still fantastic. You're an overachiever. You want it to be 9.9. But the number
competence, and so I was like, ooh, they don't think I'm that friendly without a
No. I take this as totally different. You are very friendly because your likable number is 9.1. If you're in the 9s on this in any category, you're doing very well. Very well.
Okay, cool. So that's
And
an
it means
influence.
photographs. Peter did a great job with these pictures.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And I'm glad I was able to bring several of me so that I could at least show you the good and the bad for me.
Right.
You know, I kind of want to, for some of my clients, I do have a smile and no smile, but I figured I'd rather just throw it all on the table and be like, okay, here's me, you know, and this is me, good, bad, and ugly.
Right.
And for the other photo that's on a white background, it only has 68 votes so far, because in order for me to get votes, I'm voting on other people's photos. So it's kind of a 1-for-1
Right.
thing. So I need to get back in and vote some more. But I did upload this in anticipation of the podcast. And then my competency rate or level on this one. So my first one was at a 9.9. The competency rate with only 68 votes is at 9.1. So that's
Right.
a good sign, right? Likability, though, is higher. So
Right.
the likability is a 9.4 when I show my teeth. So teeth or no teeth. And then influential is at a 9.5. So, you know, neither one is bad. Both of them are getting high scores. So that's a good thing. However, it was interesting for me to note that even with the 68 votes versus the 404, the likability scale is higher showing teeth. So
Right. And that doesn't surprise me.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that and it would be great to hear back from you on how this works long term. But if you're smiling, you're going to be more likable.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that needs to apply to your industry. And that's an important part, which we talked about already.
Yes.
How do you determine how old you should let your picture be? I mean, if I'm on LinkedIn, how often should I get a new headshot?
Usually about every 2 years is what's recommended. And then that way it at least gives you a chance to still look like you.
Okay.
Especially if you're just coming into the industry too. You know, if you're younger, you're going to look a lot younger in that first headshot versus 2 years later when you've been in the workforce for a while. Also, if you have, this is really important, if you've changed your, if you've lost a lot of weight, or conversely, if you've gained a lot of weight, you know, I know people don't necessarily want to do that when they've gained a lot of weight. It's quarantine.
Sure.
But if you've lost a lot of weight, or you look radically different, if your hair is now gray versus brown, or if you have a mustache now and you didn't have a mustache before, a different hair color in general, like if your hair is pink now, one of those type of things. If you have a radically different look, I would definitely recommend getting a new headshot, just updating it so you look like you, so that you don't scare your clients or your customers when you come online. You want to represent the best of who you are now.
There's a couple of things that I want to highlight here. Number one is, if your headshot is more than 5 years old, you need to get a new one. And you need to make it a priority. If you're within that 5-year window, then it's really worthwhile for you to look at and ask someone who can give you an opinion. Does my headshot still look like me? And the best way to do that is when you meet someone who doesn't necessarily know you well, but they saw your LinkedIn page first, and this is important. They saw your photograph first. Ask them, do you still think I look like my LinkedIn photo? That'll give you some direct feedback. And hopefully those people that you're just meeting for the first time, and I certainly understand not everybody will want to tell you, you have to tease that out in those relationships. Like, I can tell you without a doubt, when I met Aubrey, within 10 minutes, I could have said, hey, you met me on LinkedIn. Now you met me in person, although we never have met in person. I would ask you, what do you think? Do I look like my photograph on my LinkedIn profile? If you're really taking it seriously, you got to play that. You got to work into that 2-year rule. How do you get a profile picture every 2 years is a question. The first way I would suggest all of you to look at this is, if you go to a conference and they're doing headshots, get a headshot. Never walk by a free headshot station. Get a free headshot. That's the first thing. Number two, go find someone to give you a headshot. Aubrey, how do I find someone who can give me a great headshot? What should I do?
There's a really good website that's called headshotcrew.com. And it features photographers from all over the world that specialize in headshots. So it's Peter Hurley's initial group. He started it. And I think it's great because now more than ever, people's headshots are so important. You know, and it's becoming more and more of a virtual world with everybody sort of being sequestered with COVID and then working through Zoom and everything else. So you've got to have that virtual handshake be just spot on, as you've said. It's really
It does need to be. It is extremely important. So we did this. You and I were discussing this recently, and I went onto this website and we found a photographer. And here's what was great about this. This is not a typical website where you're going to look for a supplier, a basic vendor, and there's a bunch of names. No, what this website does is it gives you a list of those photographers geographically for your area, of course. And then say there's 5 of them in your area, you can go through and look at each of those photographers and see their work. This is phenomenal. And you and I sat down and we looked at this gentleman that I did contact, and we are going to go there to get headshots. His headshots are beautiful, absolutely terrific. The coloring, the way he has his subjects seated, everything was great. So what's nice about this site is you can go in and you can find out who's taking a picture like you want. So if you want to look like a movie star, or if you want to look like you're sitting in a law firm, everybody has different styles. There you can see the style of those photographers and you can pick them appropriately. I'm so glad you shared that with us, Aubrey.
Yeah, it's great. And, again, Peter's been just amazing with setting up this sort of, I think what he's done as a photographer and as a mentor for people like me is really help to highlight the fact that your headshot is so important, and what it does for, circling back to you, what it does for your ePresence.
It's so important. For those of you that have not heard this before, one of the things that you should know is 80% of the evaluation that people make on you when they land on your LinkedIn profile is from your profile shot, is from your headshot. It's scary, but it's true. And here's why. We don't cease to be human. When we land on somebody's LinkedIn profile, we are still human beings. And what do we do when we're human beings? We walk up to somebody, we meet them, we shake their hand, we look them in the eye. You do the same thing when you land on somebody's LinkedIn profile. So number one, make sure they know it's you. It has to be current, and that it represents you well, and it's representing the industry that you're in well. Aubrey, any final thoughts that folks should know about their headshot or anything at all? Any nuggets, takeaway nuggets here?
Takeaway nuggets. Make sure you are representing yourself. Make sure your eyes show. I'm seeing a lot of people looking off to the side in their headshot.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, right? Yeah.
You need to look at the camera for their headshot. And then also, something we didn't really go into it, but maybe on another podcast if I get invited back. Those things that are different about you, that make you unique, I think are some things to make sure that can stand out. So depending on what they are, your flaws can actually make you more unique. So
I think that's a very good point.
As well, is sometimes those flaws are really important. If there's certain things you need to have taken out that are small, absolutely a photographer or a retoucher can take those things out. If there's a scar or something, whatever it is, but just keep in mind that those things that are your flaws actually can be your strengths too and make you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Aubrey, how can people find you?
You can go to my website. So it's aubreyhord.com. And then you can just hunt around on there if you want to look for headshots. There's headshots there. We also do all sorts of portraits and lots of commercial work as well for our clients. So
outstanding. Aubrey, it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us again. You always have so much great stuff to share. And I do think that I may call you back, and we'll continue to have our conversation. If there is something that comes up that we can add more comments, and maybe here's something else. I think it would be interesting to bring on multiple photographers and talk about a lot of different subjects. And so we can do that. So that's another idea. Whatever the case, let's stay in touch, and I will see you in Maui very soon.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you.
I need to come there. Eric and I are ready to go. We're ready to book our flight because Eric would like a break from his 4 kids, and I would like a break from the inside of my basement. Time to get out.
I totally get it.
Awesome. Aubrey, thanks for being here. We appreciate you
so much. Nice to see you.
We'll see you. So for the rest of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us here on How's Your ePresence. So ePresence, This show is brought to you by the company ePresence. What do we do at ePresence? We are a social media agency, full service social media agency. That means we manage personal, company, and collegiate social media. We help clean up the executive suite. That's one thing that's real important. If you're at an organization that has an executive suite, the CEO and the CMO and the COO people are, you're having some struggles on getting their profiles up to speed, and maybe you don't want someone in the marketing department to manage that social media account, we can do that for you. So give us a call. We sign non-disclosure so everybody can feel comfortable with having someone manage their personal social media. We also can drive your company social media account. We talked to an accounting firm today, and we're talking about driving their social media for them from soup to nuts. We can do the creative, and we can find up create all that content and give you the analytics to support it. We can drive advertising. We can also help you with webinars. Don't forget, we run the webinars and consulting. So those are lots of services. How do you get more information on that? Well, number one, by being on this show, by listening to this show, you get a 5% discount on our services. How do you get that 5% discount? Go to our website, epresence.me. That's epresence.me, because it's all about you, / how's your ePresence. And you can grab a discount right there on that page. So back to the show here. Listen, we're glad you're here. You can catch us everywhere. We're here on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also catch us on any podcast channel out there. So please subscribe there. I also want to say special thanks before we leave to our producer, Eric Welch. Eric is our director of social media, and he also helps out with he really, thank God he's here. He allows me to do all this work and talk to you guys while the screen does all the great things that's there. We're dropping podcasts every week, so you can stay up to date, and we either drop a news. Last week, we just dropped a news podcast, but we're always trying to find good guests. If you know someone that you think would be a great guest, send them my way. You can find me anywhere online by epresence.me. That's the company name, MG. ePresence MG is my handle everywhere. So my company, ePresence, and my initials, Mark Galvin. Let's see, looking at my notes, I think that's it. So until next time, for my guest, Aubrey Hord, I'm Mark Galvin, and this has been How's Your ePresence?